If someone wanted to pull your strings, they wouldn't build a cage. They would just build a mirror. They would give you a story that looks so much like your own, you would drop your guard entirely. Welcome to The Friction, where the uncomfortable questions live. I'm Ifeoluwa, and this is where we sit with what most people run from. I was watching this K-drama the other day, titled Perfect Crown, and though I enjoyed the movie, this is how it went. The prince married a commoner, and what started as a transaction slowly turned into love. The media is in a frenzy, the crowds are screaming, and every girl in the city is buying the exact dress she wore to the palace. Why? Because they see themselves in her. They see the illusion of similarity and the possibility of becoming the next princess in their own life, or maybe in someone else's life. Now, here's the friction. While the crowd, intact the lower class, were busy feeling represented, she was being strategic. Every dress, every view, every angle, every media headline was carefully curated. While they fantasized and cheered, she was more tactical, more analytical, and definitely more aware than the crowd. And here's the first thing you need to understand. Relatability is a tool of management. I'll say it one more time for you to listen. Relatability is a tool of management. Now, for as long as I could remember, I've been told that being like-minded and fitting in is where safety lives. And I can bet every dollar that you've been told the same. And don't get me wrong, community is important. But there's a high cost to being that containable. Now, when you fight so hard to be relatable, sometimes you are essentially sanding down your edges. You are chipping away the critical, the tactical, analytical part of yourself, just to make sure the group doesn't cast you out. Oftentimes we think we are building community. You think you are building community, but sometimes you are actually making yourself predictable. And here's what you need to understand. The ones who love a predictable person, the ones who want to be able to use your predictability for their own self. If they look at you and know exactly what makes you feel similar, if they look at you and know what makes you tick in terms of community, in terms of wanting to fit in and be relatable, they know exactly how and what strings to pull. And in this case, your strings. Now, I don't need to force you to do my bidding. I just need to construct a narrative that mirrors your own. And that is what they usually do. A narrative that you buy into, where you think you're being represented, where you think you're okay, or where you think, oh, this could be me. You see the prince and the commoner, and you buy into the hope. You think, oh, there is hope for me. And definitely there is. But sometimes that hope is the trap. Because the moment you start seeing yourself in the illusion, the moment you start walking in that created illusion, you start policing yourself to stay similar. You start wondering, what did I do to get this? Or what can I do to fit in order to get this? And this is not always bad, please get me. But here's one thing you also need to understand. The similarity we often police ourselves to, the similarities we often say, oh, I want to do just to fit in, just to feel among, is a fickle, non-moving needle walk. And like I said earlier, yes, community is important. but not at the expense of self. Now, what we fail to realize is most of us are paying a heavy tax every single day just to keep our seats at certain tables, just to have a place to belong. We are paying a heavy tax just to feel among in some populations. You're sitting in a room and someone says something you don't agree with. Heck, you don't even think it's funny. But then you watch the room and the room is nodding. Every single person in that room is nodding. The room is laughing. And quickly something in you does 1 + 1, something in you calculates. And so you nod, you laugh. And in your head it only takes 2 seconds. Nobody notices, and then you move on. Sounds familiar, right? Then you do it again the next time, and the time after that, and the time after that. And one day, you realize, oh God. And one day you're in the room and you realize you haven't said what you actually think in so long. You're not even sure you know what you actually think anymore. You look in the mirror, you stand in the mirror, and the person staring back at you is a complete stranger. And I need you to hear me loud and clear when I say this. Oftentimes we think losing ourselves can be dramatic, but you need to listen to this. Because you don't lose yourself in one big dramatic moment. You lose yourself 2 seconds at a time. Now listen, your difference is not a weakness. It is not a problem waiting to be solved. It is not a disease that needs a cure. Your difference is how you chart a course for yourself in life. Your difference is how you chart a course for yourself in the game called life. And the life you desire, the dream you have, the thoughts that plague you at night, all that lives in your difference. And we forget that the moment you start chipping it away to stay acceptable, to stay malleable, to fit into the crowd, to belong in a place, at the expense of self, you lose your very core. And when you stand in front of the mirror, you no longer recognize yourself. You begin to ask what happened to your smile, your essence, your joy, your laughter, and even your pain. Have you eaten it away to make the room comfortable, to fit in, to belong, when it could be something more? Like I said, please hear me loud and clear. Similarity is not the bad thing. But if you do not understand how it's being used, you will never be able to use it on your own terms alongside your difference. You would be at the mercy of someone who understands it, someone pulling those strings and you're wondering what's happening. You're not even aware. And here's why your 2 seconds matter beyond you. The 2 seconds where you lose yourself and, let me just fit in for today. See, that room that you just sat in, or the room you've been sitting in for years, or you're currently in, you weren't the only one calculating. Someone else at that table did the same math, made the same choice for the same reason. Now, multiply that by every room in different nations, every table, and every year. That's how a culture of nodding gets built. Not by one decision, but by all of us making this small one over and over and over again. This is bigger than you. It is way bigger than you. Imagine a world where similarity is no longer organized just to be taken advantage of. Where survival no longer depends on fitting in. Where every single opinion matters. Imagine a generation who stops nodding at things they don't believe in. Who questions to understand, not to stand against, not to just rebel. Who are not too scared to stand out, to find out, to question, to wonder, and to do it out loud. to embrace their difference while still knowing similarity has a place in their life. But here's the difference: they welcome it on their own terms. Because here's what I need you to understand about difference. If everyone consistently taught the same, if everyone consistently believed in one particular path, if there were no questioning, no probing, no wondering whether there was something more, many of the innovations we celebrate today would have never come into existence. So, your difference is not a disorder. That other person's difference is not a disorder. It is the thing that moves the world forward. And we are better because someone saw what others didn't. We are better because someone, somewhere, refused to accept what already existed. And that someone, somewhere, can be you. That's the friction for today. Whatever is stirred in you, sit with it. And yeah, share with someone else who needs it too. I'll see you next time.